So you're gonna be disappointed every time a Nanami episode interrupts
I'm not.
Yeah, well, you forget, back at RIT, we were watching Utena all the way through. We'd finally gotten fan subs of the end of it. And out of nowhere, a Nanami episode happens in the middle of crazy cliffhangers and crazy stuff. Once you see all of Utena, you'll go back and realize the Nanami episodes tell the same story as Utena. The exact same story. It's just Nanami instead of Utena going through all of this. And just kind of keep that in the back of your mind while you watch these episodes. And it'll become very obvious what's going on. You could watch all the Nanami episodes in a row and they would tell a pretty good story.
Yeah, why not? Okay, so the first thing that happens in the episode that stands out immediately is Nanami walking through regular ass town. I don't know what she's doing there. Does she live out there probably?
It is rare to see the outside world in Shoujo Kakumei Utena.
Right, but she's on the highway and there's regular cars. It's like, this is a show from the 90s, and it looks like the 90s out there. So you can see here, right, they go to a school and wear weird old uniforms, and all the buildings are old, and all the technology at the school is mostly old. But it's they're in the 90s modern world of nothing weird, right? All weird things are at the school.
So what's important is to pay attention to, whenever you're watching Utena, when there is a scene that involves the outside world, outside of Otori, pay attention to what's going on, what characters are involved, because they're so rare that they stand out and they are noteworthy. The fact that Nanami was out in the normal world and normal stuff was happening to her, but wasn't really normal. I mean, she was being stalked by some crazy guy who she thought was trying to kill her. Some tall, handsome shadow who was actually Tsuwabuki.
And also remember, this outside world of the 90s Japan, I guess, right, is the same exact world where Utena was rescued by a prince in a fairy tale somewhere. Same world.
Yep.
Because she wasn't at Otori when she was that young. At least I hope not.
So Nanami episodes, this one in particular, introduced us to three things. One, those three dudes.
Suzuki desu. Yamada desu. Tanaka desu.
Those three guys serve no purpose than to appear in Nanami episodes and Nanami-like episodes.
They should go out with the Shadow Girls, but they don't.
In a way, they almost represent sort of, if the Shadow Girls are like this view into what the show is about and this sort of outside allegorical view of everything, those three guys represent normal-ass dudes doing normal-ass stuff and how they really have no place in the story of Utena.
Or they should go out with Nanami's posse of three annoying girls.
Those three and those other three do interact at a couple of points.
Well, it was really funny at the one part in this episode where someone says Nanami doesn't get her hands dirty, and those three girls are standing right there, right? Yep. And it's like, yeah, they do all Nanami's dirty work for her.
They do. You know they do her dirty work. Straight up. She sicks them on people like a mafia boss.
Yeah.
If anything, this episode teaches us, the second character we're introduced to really is Nanami. We, as viewers, didn't like Nanami. You know not to like Nanami. Complicated hair.
The laugh, the giant forehead, right? It's like no one likes her from the beginning.
But this is the episode where now Utena knows why not to like Nanami.
Yeah, Utena just thought she was Nanami. She didn't hate, it's like we see everything.
I've seen everything. I've seen it all.
So we didn't like her. But Utena didn't have a problem with her. She invited her to study group.
Well, she had a little bit of a problem with her because Nanami flips out about why everyone likes Anthy so much.
A little bit, but she was just like, okay, that was weird.
But now Utena is introduced to Nanami's day-to-day life and how bad of a person she is.
So she's like, whoa, you're a piece of shit, aren't you?
And for us, the viewers, now we have a lot of reasons to not like Nanami. Just a few before, a lot now. So you're going to like her less and less.
You're not supposed to like her.
So the third character we're introduced to, brand new character, Tsuwabuki. He's a major character. He's in the show for the rest of the thing. I'm going to spoil something for you guys. He duels.
Oh, no.
He for real duels.
There's a character with a name who duels? Guess what? Every character with a name duels.
Choo-Choo does not duel unless you count the Utena Sega Saturn game.
Counts. And he's not anyone with arms and legs and a human body and not a mouse monkey body.
So let's talk about Tsuwabuki, because if you look at what's going on in this episode, so Utena fights duels to protect Anthy from these other people who want to court her and do something with her. Tsuwabuki fights a duel with these other guys who want Nanami. Utena berates Nanami for just standing by while Tsuwabuki fights for her, yet Anthy just stands by and watches while Utena fights for her.
But here's the way that it is different.
Oh,
the
so
way
you're saying they're different.
Right, it is different because look at this, right? Nanami, in that relationship between Nanami and Tsuwabuki, Nanami is the one who gives the orders.
ねえ、今日の体育テニスなんだって。私テニスウェア持ってきてないわ。つわぶき？テニスウェアでございます。ねえ、抜き打ちテストとは反則よね。ほんと、ルール無用って感じね。つわぶき？虎の巻でございます。ねえ、今日の美術屋外スケッチだって。私イーゼル持ってきてない。つわぶき？明日のお弁当はミートボール入れてきてね。はい、喜んで。
To Tsuwabuki, and he'll do whatever she wants.
Yep.
So the one who does whatever the other one wants is the one also doing the protecting. In the Utena-Anthy relationship, it's backwards. Anthy does whatever Utena wants, but Utena doesn't tell her to do anything because she thinks that's wrong, right? And Utena, the one who could give orders if they wanted to, is the one who's doing the defending.
So the analogy actually goes a little bit deeper than that in this episode. The parallels are actually very strong. Look at Tsuwabuki's past. He saw a girl in trouble, was young, wanted to save her, could not because he was young, he was weak. He had no ability to actually affect what he wanted onto the world. Toga was the adult in that situation.
大丈夫かい、ナナミ。
お兄様。
さ、帰ろう。
He was a
He
little bit
still
older.
is.
Yeah. He had power. He was the one who saved her. And much like when Utena grew up wanting to be a prince for some reason that we'll get into in a few episodes, Tsuwabuki grew up wanting to be a protector. Of course, he turns that into this fucked up stalker idea of, well, I guess I just have to put her in danger.
彼じゃなくてお兄さんになりたかったの？
だけどナナミさんは僕のことを覚えていなかった。思い出してもらえるように出会いを演出したのに。
演出？
こうなったら仕方がありません。もう一度危ない目に遭わせるしか。ちょっと待って。はい。
That I can then save her
We've
from.
never seen that plot cliche before.
But there is a parallel of
つわぶき？
wanting to grow up and fight and get power to protect Nanami from things,
ウテナ様。
wanting to grow up and fight and be a prince and protect people from things. This ends up being Anthy. But the difference is that Nanami and Tsuwabuki, it's sort of like, this is what normal people do in these situations, other than the trying to murder her secretly to then save her from the murder plot. But it's sort of, was there really a duel? What makes the fighting between Anthy and Nanami, well, I guess Nanami hasn't dueled yet, but spoilers, she's going to be a duelist.
She has a name and she's a person.
Yup. But the duels over the Rose Bride, what makes those different from this sort of dueling, fighting around Tsuwabuki? How come Tsuwabuki doesn't grow up to be a prince and be important and have a rose signet, but yet Utena does?
Because that hasn't happened yet. He's not grown up yet.
So is Utena grown up yet?
Not really. They're both, I mean, if you look, right, this is the first time in the school where you see just how young people in this school are. There's a shot of like elementary school kids running and then Nanami walking past like this gym teacher guy who's carrying a volleyball, right? And it's like, whoa, this school has kids that young in it? So we think, oh, Utena, I said before, Utena wasn't at Otori when the prince saved her when she was young, but maybe she's been in the school a long time, but then how do these people not know about her if she's been in the school this whole time?
So Nanami, as a character, is going to go through all the same stuff that Utena goes through, but in a very parallel, analogous way. But very much pay attention to this whole idea that there's a running theme in Utena of someone powerless, innocent but powerless for some reason or another, probably age, but maybe something else, wants to protect someone but can't. And then has to do something to be able to get that power. What do they lose in the process? Tsuwabuki became an evil asshole in order to get that power by setting up this plot.
もしかして植木鉢落としたり材木倒したり階段から突き落としたりしていたのって君？はい、危機一髪で駆けつける。 それがお兄様の正しい姿ですから。
All right, so let's talk about some other things that are going on. First of all, there's a huge thing going on with, not just this comparison of Nanami and Tsuwabuki, Utena and Anthy, but there's also this sibling comparison, right? And you got the three sibling relationships is you have Toga and Nanami,
Yep.
right? You have Mickey and his sister, who we barely know.
Yep.
And then you have sort of like this switch up from Nanami and Tsuwabuki being in the dating relationship to the sibling relationship.
つわぶき、
はい、
別れましょう、私たち。
はい。別れてナナミさんのうちの養子になります。お兄様はダメでも弟にはなれるかも。
But at the same time, references to the fact that Nanami has this weird obsession with her brother.
兄弟だよね、ナナミと生徒会長って。
お兄ちゃん子なんですよ、結局。
And is it not ironic that Mickey, out of nowhere, is talking about how sibling relationships can be complicated?
お兄様ったら冷たいんだから。
兄弟ってね、複雑なんだよ。
何よそれ。
There is a running theme in this show of attempted incest. It is a really strong running theme that's going to come to a few climaxes over the course of the show.
やっぱり私にはお兄様しかいない。
So brother-sister stuff is very important and creepy at times.
Oh, yeah.
But that creepiness is actually very important because the whole thing with Nanami, watch how she's obsessed with her brother. Her brother's the perfect man who always saves her. No one else can live up to that. What would happen if she was confronted with actually achieving what she seems to be going after? It seems like she wants to date her brother. What would happen if Toga was like, all right, let's go? We see that Saionji is still around.
Yeah, he's not dead. We haven't seen him since episode 2, but there he is. And now he's transformed from giant jerk who no one likes to sort of comically defeated guy.
ああいうの彼って言うの？
さあ。
どんなに虐げられようとも好きな人のそばにいられるだけで嬉しい。それもまた愛の形。愛には様々な形がある。ちなみに僕とアンシーの愛は忍ぶ愛。忍ぶ愛。
誰も聞いてないよ。
Saionji, if nothing, is pathetic. And no, remember he pulls out that little diary? He's referenced this exchange diary multiple times already.
ちゃんと交換日記にも書いていた。
してたのか、交換日記。
That's going to be an important plot point in
Can't believe it's an
several
important plot point.
episodes to come.
It's so
now,
sad.
it's comedy up to this point, but mark my words, the last time you see that exchange diary, that is not funny.
僕の手紙を僕がどう処理しようと勝手だろう。
At the very end of this episode, if there's one thing you take away from this episode other than Nanami episode stuff, Toga saves them from the kangaroo.
He just knocks that kangaroo out. Boom!
How come he was wearing boxing stuff? How come he was just there
He
ready
was
to rock?
literally 5 minutes earlier, he was with Anthy trying to figure out how to exterminate bugs in the rose garden, which is, they were just trying to exterminate bugs in the rose garden. That was, there's nothing else going on there. And he leaves the rose garden and then, he has boxing gloves. He's ready to knock out that
Now,
kangaroo.
I think I could explain that pretty straightforwardly.
And where did this crazy kangaroo come from?
Obviously, the kangaroo also had boxing gloves on. So clearly, Toga was off in the extracurricular room somewhere.
Well, even Tsuwabuki-
boxing with the
But
kangaroo.
even Tsuwabuki was able to muster boxing gloves from nowhere, right? To try.
Well, because boxing's going on.
I guess so.
So let's skip the whole where the fuck do these animals keep coming from for a second. Look at this. Out of nowhere, kangaroo comes. Toga saves everybody from it. The last scene in this episode is Utena looking at Toga thinking, wow.
桐生東がやっぱりただものじゃない。
He's kind of badass.
Like something's up with him. is it not infeasible that Toga is not stupid? He knew that by acting the way he was and by not actually confronting this weird Nanami fear, that Nanami is going to go off and do all this stuff, and he can wait for a point where he can send the kangaroo in and save the day. I would argue that is exactly what happens.
You're going to go that direction, right? You could say that the incomplete language he was using in the Rose Garden, if he knew Nanami was listening.
さあやるんだ。虫けら一匹殺したところで何の問題にもならん。
そんなことありません。たとえみんなから嫌われていても命は命です。もう少し待てばおとなしくここから出て行ってくれるかもしれませんし。
何を甘いこと。
そんな、まさか私の暗殺を企てていたのはお兄様本人。
He was perfectly not mentioning the vermin and saying sentences that would be misinterpreted, so she would think he was trying to be the one trying to kill her.
Yep, because straight up, what you see in this episode is that Toga is grooming Nanami to be a duelist. He needs her to be angry. He needs all these things to be set up around her. Simultaneously, he's grooming Utena to have feelings toward him, which we've seen before. He literally set this up. That kangaroo was him. He made that kangaroo come.
Right, because remember, he tried to get with Utena right away in the first episode. The second episode, he was really going after her, right? Sending her the dress and everything, trying to, and it didn't work out. So now he's trying a different way. He was nice to Anthe, helping her exterminate the bugs in the garden.
Yep.
Now he's showing off that he's awesome, and I guess Utena didn't know that he slept with Mickey's sister, and I guess I didn't sleep.
How would Utena know any of that?
Right, so all the bad stuff is totally away from Utena, and now he's trying to only show Utena nice things to make her like him.
Now, also, as a kid, he was able to one-punch a raging bull.
Apparently. And now he can one-punch a kangaroo.
So my last question for you, Scott, where are all these animals coming from?
Same place that Anthe's animals came from.
Oh, are we saying that these animals are coming from the fucked up shit generator?
I'm saying this school has a really, is so
Has
big.
an animal problem?
I guess we should talk about the Shadow Girls a little bit at least.
So the Shadow Girls are actually really straightforward in this episode. What do they say? The best part about camping is curry made over the fire.
キャンプだキャンプだ嬉しいな。キャンプの醍醐味といえばやっぱり飯盒炊飯とカレーさね。
But then it turns out curry made over the fire sucks. Everyone has fond memories of curry over the fire, but the actual reality of curry over the fire is terrible.
It's not as good as real curry from a restaurant.
But yet, then at the end, well, really, the best part about curry over the fire is the camping.
本当に美味しがってるの？
いやーね、この美味しい空気が何よりの調味料よ。
Yeah, is the part that you're eating curry outside, even if it's bad curry.
So the
makes it better.
context of eating the curry makes false memories about the curry itself being good. Utena has this memory of a prince giving her a ring. Tsuwabuki has this memory. Nanami is confronted with Tsuwabuki in 3 situations in this episode. 1, she meets Tsuwabuki as a shadowy, menacing, tall figure who she thinks is following her to murder her outside
So
in town.
Tsuwabuki is curry that's actually bad, but because Nanami met him in an awesome way, saving her from a horse, he suddenly seems more awesome.
Well, no, it's more than that. Tsuwabuki appears 3 different ways based on the context. He appears as a shadowy, tall, threatening figure. Then he appears as a tall, handsome prince with a deep voice. Now, we see him in that context the same way we saw Utena's prince before. The same way we see in any time there's a flashback, people have blank faces. They're just silhouettes. You don't see what they actually look like. You see what the other person projects onto them. So suddenly now Tsuwabuki is a prince. Everyone in the school knows that, oh, she's dating some prince. Even Utena and Mickey are like, wait a minute, prince? And they start stalking Nanami to figure out who this prince is. And then they're
It's funny how even the good guys in the show, right, who aren't up to no good, like Utena or Mickey,
are stalking
Nanami.
Nanami.
Yeah, they're stalking and gossiping, and like Wakaba is the biggest stalker gossiper. But now it's like she wasn't even in this episode, and Utena, who's usually like, I don't care about all that nonsense, right, is like, oh, someone stupid, right, is out and doing a thing that she usually doesn't care about.
Yep. But then when we see Tsuwabuki through other people's eyes instead of Nanami's eyes, he's just a little kid. And everyone's like, wait, what?
What is this like little elementary school kid doing here? Well, I mean, that's another thing, right? Is, Utena and Nanami, they're not in the high school. They're in the middle school. Toga's in the high school. I guess, is Tsuwabuki in elementary school?
I think he's in the middle school, but I can't tell.
Yeah, he's either in the early middle school or the late elementary school.
I think he's late elementary school,
those
actually.
Those 3 guys and the 3 Nanami girls are in middle school.
The thing is, if you watch this show and you don't know, like, you don't pay attention to how old people are, like, from the liner notes or whatever, it doesn't matter. Toga might as well be like 20 and Utena's like 15.
Right, but later there are plot points where like, oh, you're going to high school now, and they switch dorms and stuff like that.
Well, what matters is the difference between these levels. Tsuwabuki is a level below Nanami. Nanami's at the same level as Utena. Utena is a level below the rest of the student council.
I think Mickey's also in middle school.
No, he's a prodigy though.
ほらミッキーじゃないミッキー知らないの1年生のカオルミキくんピアノとフェンシングの腕は全国レベルの美少年でまだ中1なのに大学のカリキュラムをいくつか受けてる超秀才よ
Oh, that's okay, yeah.
And then there is another set of characters who are one level beyond the student council.
The end of the world who can send them letters.
Now, what's important is when there are characters that straddle those levels. Tsuwabuki goes beyond his level to be in the world of Nanami and Utena. Utena goes beyond her world to be in the world of Toga and the student council. Someone goes beyond that level to be in the world of the people we haven't met yet. And beyond that, I guess it's just old dead people.
Yeah, probably. I mean, this school's really old.